friends. So what we're going to do today is do a quick video. This will be on advanced flow control, namely the ternary operator and switch statements. So we'll do a switch statement right here, and we'll just jump right into it. So basically the idea about switches is you use these a lot in React if you're using the context API. It's just another version of flow control. So for example, let's say that we just have a very easy example of we have a variable a, and we're going to set that equal to the number 10. So the way that a switch works is we type in switch right here, and then we pass in what we're going to be comparing. Well, we're going to be comparing a. So with that, we can have different cases. So we'll have a case of 9, and then with that, we'll have, you need to have like either a return. We'll do a console log here because this isn't in a function, so we're not actually returning anything else. So we'll just do a console log. We'll just console.log the passed in value is 9. Okay, and then we'll do a couple more of those. So we'll do 1, because I just want to show you how this works. 1, 2, and 3, and we'll do 9, and we'll do a case for 10. We'll say the passed in value is 10, and then we'll do a case for 11, and we'll pass it in there. And then we'll do a case for 12, and we'll pass that in right here as 12. Now, every time that you run a switch statement, you're also going to want to have what's called a default. So our default, and that's just going to console.log. None of the cases were met, right? So it's not a case, whatever was passed in, right? So if we run this, we'll do control option tilde to open up our integrated terminal here. And we'll run this as node main.js. Did I save that file? We'll go node main.js. We'll run it, and you can see right here, this is the problem that you run into when you're running these switch statements. And this is a little bit different than it is in React, because in React, if you're using the switch statements in the context API, normally what you're doing is just changing in an array, and that's about it. But with this, since it's actually going case by case, you can see that it's returning everything. So what we need to do here within this is that we need to add a break statement in all of these other than the default. So we'll go break, because basically what it's going to do, it's going to cascade down through here, and it's going to check, well, is the case 9? No. I'll break. If it is yes, I'll console log that and then break. If not, it'll let it know that it doesn't need to console log that. So we'll put break statements in all these, and that'll help us avoid returning all those. So we have break statements in everything but the default. So we're passing in 9, we'll run it, and it'll say the passed in value is 10. I'm sorry, we're passing in 10. 10, A is 10 right here. So let's change A to 9, and it should reflect down here in our output. Passed in is 9. Let's try 12. So we'll go right here and we'll say 12. Save it, run it down here. It says passed in value is 12. Now let's try 122, which isn't a case, and let's see if that default works down here. Actually, get rid of those. Let's see if those work. And it does. None of the cases were met. So that's the basics of a switch statement in JavaScript. You have something that you pass in that you're going to compare to, and then you have cases that meet that. If it meets the case, if it meets the parameter that's passed in, or the argument that's passed in rather, then it's going to run this block of code right here, and then it'll break. And so it doesn't run the rest of these lines of code. Okay, cool. So that's switch statements. So now we'll do the ternary operators. So basically, ternary operators are just, let's just say that we had a const a, and that's equal to 5. So if we wanted to write if a is equal to 5, we'll return true, else return false. Okay, so that's a lot of code right there. Actually, let's console log these because it's not inside of a function. So we'll console log false right here, and then we'll console log true right here. Okay, so if we run this, again, we gotta open up our terminal here. If we run this, what you'll see is that we're gonna get true. But what if we changed a to 6, for example? This should give us false. So instead of writing, this is 1, 2, 3, this is like 5 lines of code. Instead of writing that like that, we could write it like this. So basically you have an expression right here. An expression meaning that you're gonna test something. It will be like an if statement or something. An expression, and then you have outcome 1 and then outcome 2. and it's going to return one of these outcomes dependent on if this returns as true or false. So if this expression calculates to true, it'll return the first one. If it calculates to false, it'll return the second one. Okay, so let's do like this. So we know that a is 6. So right here we can just say a is equal to 6. And the way you do it is you put a question mark there. A is equal to 6, return true, else false. Now, since this isn't in a function, we're just going to console log this. Let's put all this in that console log statement right there. And let's run it, and this should return true, which it does. Let's change a to 5, and this should return false, which it does. So that's the basic syntax of it. You basically have your condition, question mark, outcome or output 1 or output 2. And this is basically, if it'll return outcome 1 if this is true, it'll return this if it's false, right? So that's the basics of a little bit of advanced control flow. That's ternary operators, that's switch statements. That's just the very basics. You can do a lot of stuff with this. A lot of times in React, when you're doing front-end development stuff, you'll use ternary statements to determine what HTML that you want to be painted to the screen, and it's really good shorthand to learn these ways of doing things rather than doing an endless amount of if, else, else ifs, and blah blah blahs. So yeah, I hope it helped. Take it easy.